This is the After Party, live with Kim McAllister. Pick a couch, grab a drink, and settle into the conversation.
Hey everybody, it is the After Party Live. Thank you so much for joining me today, and I'm so excited to tell you that while yesterday I failed, today I'm gonna make it up to you. We didn't travel yesterday, but I think if there's time, we'll travel today. You know, I have to tell you, this last week of school is brutal. Parents and teachers know it seems like they try to cram in everything they can, and so we had a wax museum where costumes were required. There's a last day of school party where I've got to bring stuff. There's so much going on, plus 2 graduations, and so gifts are trying to be assembled. Anyway, my apologies for failing yesterday. Following the June swoon, the very next day, I dropped the ball on Travel Tuesday. But again, I hope to make it up to you today. So I probably shouldn't ask you to click the like button because, you know, I would understand if you didn't want to, but I'm going to ask anyway if you could click the like button. And if you haven't subscribed, please do that as well. We're up to 2,025 subscribers now, so I'm feeling pretty good. I mean, it's not 35,000 or anything, but it's, you know, it's not bad. Not bad at all. All right, let's get to it. We'll talk about this Wayfarer Chapel. Have you heard of this place? It's beautiful. This is a place in Southern California near Los Angeles, and it was designed by the son of Frank Lloyd Wright. His name is Lloyd Wright. And it's on the National Register of Historic Places. It's the Wayfarer's Chapel. And it's on the Palos Verdes Peninsula overlooking the Pacific Ocean. It's small, 100 seats in this church, and it was completed, this work, in 1951 by the son of architect Frank Lloyd Wright. His name is Lloyd Wright, and it's been a really popular destination. It's iconic. A lot of people go here to take pictures. The problem was there's a landslide. It's called the Portuguese Bend Landslide, and it keeps happening in this area, and it has for the last 50 years. But in the last 2 years, the landslide has accelerated at what they call an unprecedented rate. The earth underneath the chapel property and the surrounding area is moving 2 feet or more a month. Yeah. It puts this old building on the, again, National Register of Historic Places totally at risk. And the movement has resulted in damage. We can see that here and also here. Damage to the interior of this chapel on the grounds and inside. Underground utilities, electricity, water, sewer, gas, also broken, currently unusable. And the chapel, they say, is at risk for irrevocable damage if they don't figure out a way to save it in the coming weeks. And so they're taking it apart. They're disassembling it with historic preservation experts. And what this group is doing is they're going in, and here's a picture. They're taking every piece out, and they're cataloging it, and they're keeping records. Where does it go? How does it go together? So they're taking the whole thing apart, and they probably have to put it back together, either on this site once they figure out how to shore up the land, or on a nearby site. Yeah. The folks that are trying to save it say we are taking immediate action to carefully disassemble the chapel's historic materials as a necessary step in the preservation of this chapel for generations to come. So that means the redwood glulam, the blue roof tiles, the steel window framing, all original to the structure, can't be replicated today. So they're making it a careful disassembly. Very important. They say a lot of the chapel's original materials were part of the Lloyd Wright design, and they just cannot be redone. So they're working against the clock now as this landslide gets worse and worse to move the building components to safety so that they can be put back together again. This whole thing is costing between $300,000 and $500,000. They're collecting donations at a GoFundMe page. And at this point, the chapel and the grounds are closed off while all this work is ongoing. So that's what's going on there. Yeah, this church, by the way, was a memorial to the 18th century scientist and theosopher Emanuel Swedenborg, and the church is affiliated with the Swedenborgian Church of North America. I had never heard of such a thing, so I don't know. But they're trying to save it. Yeah. Before it closed down, it was hosting services, events, and weddings, so it was a busy little place. I hope they managed to save it and that everything goes well. Let's take a look at an update now on this missing gator story. Remember, we had this alligator that had been brought in for an end-of-year celebration at a middle school in Kansas City. And this little alligator that had its mouth taped shut, or snout taped shut, whatever, escaped. And they thought, oh, it's never going to survive because it can't eat anything, it can't fend for itself. Well, 10 days after it went on the loose in Missouri, found alive as well. The Lakeview Middle School said they sent out an email to their faculty, students, families, talking about this 14-inch alligator being found outside of a back door at the school by the custodian workers. So it survived 10 days without any food. It still had its mouth taped shut when it was found. It's back where it belongs with the KC Pet Project. And their spokesperson says it's really hard to say how this gator survived. They've been told for people that care for alligators that they can go quite a while without having food. They more need heat and water and things like that. But food they can survive without for a while. So at this point, they're trying to determine whether this gator should stay with the petting zoo where it was brought to the middle school by, with whom it was brought by, or placed in possibly a new sanctuary or a home. The pet group, the pet zoo people, didn't have the right permits. The school didn't have the right permits to bring the animals to the school. So, and alligators are not legal to have in Kansas City. So there's a lot of reasons why maybe relocating this gator to a sanctuary would be a better choice. What about this deer? Yeah, this deer had a little mini hockey net stuck right on his head. This happened in Amherst, New York, where an animal control officer came to the rescue of this buck that had been seen wandering around for 2 weeks with this mini hockey net all tangled up in his antlers. The Amherst Police Department said the buck was seen wandering around with the net over its face and its antlers for the last 2 weeks. It was annoying to him, but he was still mobile, and every time someone tried to catch him to take it off, he'd run. They were trying to sedate him so that they could take the net off, but he'd make a run for it. So it was pretty hard to get him still. Well, finally, he sought refuge in the nook of a church, this deer, and they were able to keep him at close range long enough to sedate him. And once he was snoozing, they cut the net off the antlers in less than a minute. Then the sedation was reversed, and he was able to go do other things. Finally. That's nice to hear. A bear story. This little bear got caught up in a fence. Yikes. Yeah. It happened in Colorado. And it's a wire fence, unfortunately. So this little guy had to be rescued. They had to tranquilize the mother bear nearby because this is her baby. So that could have been ugly. The Colorado Parks and Wildlife Northeast region said officers responded to a report of a bear cub caught in wire fencing in Evergreen. And they said kids can get into everything, including bear cubs. So they tranquilized the mother bear, who was in a tree nearby, so she wouldn't interfere. And then they used a catch pole to keep the bear cub still while they cut it free from the wires. And once the bear was free from the wires. It was all a happy ending from there. Speaking of sedating creatures, here's another one. This bear, look at that, falling out of a tree to be caught by the rescuers below. This is another bear story, and this one out of Pennsylvania. This bear had to be tranquilized, and that's why it fell out of the tree. It was on school grounds. Students and staff at this nearby school had to stay indoors as officials rescued this bear after it roamed into a residential area and then right near a school. So they tranquilize it as it's up in a tree in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, and then they caught it with a tarp as it fell to keep it safe. And then they, he fell a little ways, 6 meters into this tarp. And then he was tranquilized again before they moved this bear to a different area. They said the bear wasn't fully grown, and they're going to relocate it elsewhere in Pennsylvania. But what a picture. Wow. Let's move on to this Star Wars story. There's some big money at play here. That's because these Boba Fett figurines are being auctioned off. And apparently they're going to go for quite the pretty penny because they're very, very rare. They already went for big money, I should say. They're just under 4 inches tall. The heritage auctions say the action figure you've seen here is the world's most valuable vintage toy after fetching $525,000 for that little toy, 3.75 inches tall. And that includes the buyer's premium. This happened at the May 31st Star Wars signature auction. The action figure taking the record from a Barbie bearing a 1-carat diamond that sold for $302,000 in 2010. Now Boba Fett is the world's priciest vintage toy. It's a hand-painted, rocket-firing bounty hunter, only one of 2 surviving examples made for Kenner's line of Star Wars toys in the 1970s. The Boba Fett figurines pulled from the production line before they even made it to market. And it became such a mythic icon that people around the world knew about it, even if they weren't even collectors. They said, we knew this one had a chance to enter the record books, and it was really thrilling to see it become the most valuable toy in the world. There was a different Boba Fett toy that was released in 1979 that went for $84,000 in this auction as well. It was still sealed in its original package, and I guess given some type of high ranking, but not this one. This is a $525,000 Boba Fett. Okay, whatever you say. Whatever you want to spend your money on. You got it, spend it. You have a problem with not having enough salt in your food? I mean, I don't know what's wrong with a salt shaker, but this is a new electric spoon that makes food taste saltier. And it's on sale now in Japan. The electric salt spoon works by passing a weak electric current through the tip of the device to concentrate sodium ion molecules on the tongue. It's made of plastic and metal, and it's actually meant for people trying to reduce their salt intake, because they say that it promotes healthier eating. Right? You eat high levels of salt, you have higher blood pressure, you're at risk for strokes, heart attacks, all kinds of things. In Japan, adults consume about 10 grams of salt a day, and that's double the World Health Organization's recommended intake. I don't know what the level is in America, but I'm thinking it's probably more. I don't know. But the electric salt spoon magnifies the perceived saltiness of the food by 1.5 times, according to its manufacturer. And you can choose your intensity from 4 different levels. You want a really salty? I don't know. This was co-developed at a university. They are working on taste-enhancing effects in prototype electronic chopstick currents as well. So They won a Nobel Nutrition Prize last year for the chopsticks thing. I don't know. People who try to limit their salt intake are often complaining that the food becomes tasteless. So this spoon is pretty heavy, 60 grams, and it runs on a rechargeable lithium battery. So who knows? Maybe it'll be available worldwide. For now, it's available in Japan. Speaking of eating, do you feel like maybe you need an accountability partner? No? How about an AI accountability partner? No? Well, they've developed AI now that can watch every spoonful of anything you eat and then calculate your calorie consumption. Yeah. The scientists in Canada are working on this new technology where AI analyzes video of you eating and then decides the nutritional value of your diet. The food portion estimation algorithms assume users take images of their meals 1 to 2 times. This can be inconvenient and fail to capture food items that are not visible from a top-down perspective, like ingredients submerged in a stew. It's harder for the AI to know, like, what's in there? What are you eating, right? How many potatoes? How many tomatoes? Well, instead of looking at a picture of your plate like some AI tracking systems, this studies every spoonful on the way to your mouth. And they say that's what makes it more precise. Do you want AI watching you, watching what you're eating? Do you want that? They say it can calculate the volume of food you're eating with a 4.4% margin of error. The system doesn't currently identify the food on your spoon, so they're trying to teach it to spot what you're eating. But in the end, they think it'll be able to recognize a wide range of foods, even those foods that it hasn't seen before. I don't know if I want this. The technology apparently works with forks and chopsticks and spoons. And it's a new diet technique to have AI monitor what you're putting in your face. I don't know. I think I'm not going for that. No. They've done something new on the moon. For the first time, we've seen lunar manufacturing. See this story? They took the first metal 3D printer up to space. And for the first time, we've seen in-orbit manufacturing. This thing, and you can see it here, kind of dribbled out a molten S-curve last week in what the European Space Agency is calling a giant leap forward for in-orbit manufacturing. It combines a high-power laser and stainless steel wire. An Airbus-built metal 3D printer deposited its first liquefied test lines inside the European Space Agency's Columbus research model. It operates in a fully sealed box for safety reasons to prevent any excess heat or fumes from escaping. The laser on the printer is about 1 million times more powerful than a standard laser pointer. And so they can now make things like this in space. And they said the quality of it is as good as they can dream. They're ready now to print full parts in the near future. For now, they're continuing to test this printer. So far, they've made 4 shapes chosen for full-scale 3D printing. Later, they're going to bring them back down to Earth and compare them with reference prints made on the ground in normal gravity. And then 2 of the resulting printed parts will go to the main research center in the Netherlands. They're going to take a look at them and see how different they are, whether they're different, and how well it worked. So that's kind of cool. All right, you ready for the lotto of the day? Some people have all the luck. I'm telling you what. This man won $2 million a couple of years ago. North Carolina guy. He wins $2 million in 2022. And he keeps playing the lottery. His name is John. He lives in Wilmington, North Carolina. And he goes to play recently and he wins $100,000. Yeah, crazy. He just loves to buy these scratch off tickets. He said, I was told lightning can't strike twice, but I guess it can. He bought a $30 black titanium ticket from Handy Hugo's on North College Road, which is the same store he went to where he won the $2 million, and wins the $100,000 prize. He said the latest winnings are going to go toward helping the community. He said his dream is to make a difference in Wilmington. He wants to give back to people who are less fortunate, and he wants to do something to change that. So, good. I always like when someone wins and they're going to do something good with it, right? They have an issue with MDMA. The drug was thought possible to use as a PTSD treatment. It didn't get the support from the FDA to move forward with this usage. There was an independent federal advisory panel voting against authorizing the drugs, MDMA's use for treating PTSD. They listened to presentations by the FDA, by Lykos Therapeutics, by the public, and although encouraged by the experimental treatment's results so far, they need more evidence, they say, before they're going to make this recommendation and call it a safe, viable method of treating PTSD. So for now, the answer is no to this. And one of the committee members, Dr. Paul Holtzheimer, said premature introduction of a treatment can actually stifle development and stifle innovation. So he said, no, not a good idea. They don't want to do this. There's just not enough data showing that this drug effectively treats PTSD and that the potential risks outweigh the potential benefits. Only one person on that panel voted yes for this. So for now, MDMA will not be a PTSD treatment legally. Speaking of substances, drinking, we know, is not the best for your body. But until now, I didn't realize that it was worse for you in the sky than it was on the ground. You think if you're going to drink, it's bad for you wherever you are. Well, apparently, no. It's on airplanes worse for your body and worse than we thought, especially on long-haul flights where people are sleeping. There was a study done by researchers at the German Aerospace Center's Institute of Aerospace Medicine. They looked at the effects that combining alcohol consumption and hypobaric conditions in a typical airplane cabin have on your sleep. So they looked at a group of healthy volunteers between the ages of 18 and 40. And they put half of them in a chamber where the atmospheric pressure simulated the environment of a plane's cruising altitude, and the others were put in a sleep lab at sea level. And each group spent 2 nights in those environments, and they were provided with alcohol to drink on one of these nights. This kind of sounds like a fun study. They slept for 4 hours, during which they were monitored by equipment that allowed researchers to monitor their blood oxygen level along with their heart rate and the time they spent in deep sleep and various other factors. So the study says it's already established that both altitude and alcohol consumption can take a toll on the heart. And these conditions increase heart rate during sleep and decrease as well. They also reduce the amount of time spent in REM sleep cycles. So the authors of the study were thinking that the combination of booze and hypobaric conditions would exacerbate the changes in sleep observed under single exposure conditions. In the study, both altitude and alcohol consumption alone affected the median sleep levels, heart rates, and time spent in deep sleep, and the combination of both seem to augment the effects. So, they say the analysis of participants' heart rates revealed the effects that they thought, that the median heart rate of the group who slept at sea level without drinking was 63.74 beats a minute at the low end. The median heart rate of the group who slept at sea level and did drink, 76.97 beats per minute. For the group who slept at altitude without drinking, the median heart rate was 72.9 beats per minute. And get this, the median heart rate of the group who both drank and slept at altitude, 87.73 beats per minute. And that, according to the study authors, meant the combination of drinking alcohol and sleeping at altitude resulted in an average 37.63% increase in heart rate, which is something usually that would be associated with maybe really vigorous exercise, and instead it's associated with sleeping and drinking, or being asleep after you drank booze on an airplane. Wild. The results of this study, according to the authors, suggest simply being in the hypobaric conditions of a plane cabin while you're asleep can place a significant strain on both your heart and the quality of your rest, and that if you're already stuck trying to sleep sitting up in economy, availing yourself of the airline-provided alcohol is probably not going to be the best approach to kicking off your time in Sleepville, Napland. Now, anyway, I thought that was an interesting study. One more. This is a study about this new electric vehicle. I think I have it in here. This is kind of a cool looking car. It's very small, which I thought was kind of interesting. And it's made by a company called Roth. And they made this very narrow looking electric vehicle. It's weird looking, but interesting, right? So they've got this new electric vehicle, and they say that they've made it very narrow on purpose. That's the way it's been designed. It's not for sale, so it's just kind of a prototype. But the thinking is that narrow cars will change the urban congestion permanently because they can double or triple the capacity of every lane on every highway in cities and elsewhere in the world at no cost for infrastructure. So I guess if you say, all right, well, we don't really want big cars that are carpooling. Everyone wants to have their own little vehicle to get where they're going. Then you have a vehicle like this with what looks like a 2-seater, maybe? Yeah. So that could be the wave of the future. It certainly looks futuristic. I don't know how many people are going for this, though. In America, as bad as it is for the environment, I think we like our big cars. And you take one look at a vehicle like this and think, how safe is that on the roadway when a semi-truck is going by? I don't know. They use local materials to reduce the environmental impact of fossil fuel transportation. And they call this, readers of the publication Dezeen, where this was put forward, call it a beautiful little car. Would you drive it? You see yourself in there zipping down the road? What do you think? I don't know. John says it doesn't look safe. Deidre would not drive that on the freeway. It does kind of look like something European, right? And from a science fiction movie. So, I don't know. Yeah. Louise says they'll never sell that in Fat America. No. Beth says it wouldn't make the safety requirements. Not my style. No. I mean, it is cool looking. I don't think it's going to go over well here in America. Maybe in Europe. I don't know. A high-tech dune buggy. It kind of does look like that, doesn't it? Yeah. All right, let's go to Travel Tuesday now on Wednesday. Hope you guys forgive me for that. But for those, because I did get a message about, hey, what happened to Travel Tuesday? So for those who wanted it, I didn't want to skimp this week. And since there's no theme to Wednesday, I thought, well, why not? Let's go ahead. So what I found was the locations in the world that are trending for travel right now. This according to TripAdvisor. And these are the places they say more people are looking to go. So let's start with the number one. This is a list of 25. And the number one place trending on the list is Tokyo, Japan. Tradition, colliding with pop culture. They say you can wander through ancient temples or rock out at a karaoke bar, wake up before the sun to catch the fish in action at the Toyosu market, and then refresh beneath the cherry blossom trees that line a river, spend some time in the East Gardens of the Imperial Palace, and then brush up on your Japanese history at the Edo Tokyo Museum. Plus, the food is incredible, as long as AI isn't looking at what you're putting in your face. So, Tokyo, the number one list on TripAdvisor's trending locales. Number 2 on the list is Seoul. Yeah. They call it a business and cultural hub of South Korea where skyscrapers tower over Buddhist temples. So you can take it all in from the top of a tower, tea houses, shops, giving you a taste of Korean flavor. Visit the grounds and museums, a UNESCO World Heritage Site, a palace, a fine example of an authentic ancient architecture. So Seoul is number 2. Number 3 is Halong Bay in Vietnam. And it sure is beautiful. Look out at that vista. So pretty. They say you can get an up-close look at the amazing limestone islands, rock formations, and caves here, whittled away over centuries by wind and water. Again, this writing from TripAdvisor. They say it's breathtaking, and you can rent a kayak or a junk boat or take a tour on Halong Bay. This, I have to tell you, is more my speed. Number 4, Palawan Island, in the Philippines. They call it, like I call Coachella Valley coffee, a slice of heaven. It's just a sliver of an island, but it's so alive with exotic wildlife, little fishing villages, UNESCO World Heritage Sites. There are endangered animals at a game preserve here. There are shipwrecks off of one of the islands, considered one of the best dive sites in the world. You can take a guided boat tour. You can go along the Puerto Princesa underground river, and they say it'll just take your breath away. Look at that. That's Palawan Island in Thailand. Beautiful. The next one is Sapa. Here it is. Sapa. Sapa is a northwest market town. They say it's colorful and it's charming, and it's the perfect oasis in the middle of a strenuous mountain trek or rice paddy tour. There's a Gothic stone church here at the center of town. There's shops and stalls, and it reminds you of this French missionary influence that happened in this area. You can dine on Vietnamese or European-inspired cuisine, and on Saturday nights they have something called a love market for the singles. So, Sapa is pretty popular and trending. Number 6 on the list is Bogota, Colombia. Looks like a pretty populated place. 10 million people calling this place home, but it has such an energy. A lot of dining hotspots, really good wine. They have a lot of food festivals here. Empanadas, so good. And shopping. So Bogota, number 6 on the list. Here's a place on the list. This is Thailand. It's Pattaya. Here's a picture of this beautiful coastal area. They say it's a wonderful way to explore the beaches along the Gulf of Thailand. It's relaxed and it's family friendly. Jom Tien Beach is a hot spot for water sports and seaside massages. Hello. There's a giant Buddha here that keeps watch over the city, and they have a sanctuary of truth that pays homage to Buddhist and Hindu art. At night, big nightlife goings on. There's bars, there's strip clubs, kind of an adult-only crowd. So family-friendly in the day, not so much at night, perhaps. Number 8 on the list is Alajuela, and it's all about the Pura Vida lifestyle. Look at that. They say it's less a slogan here and more really a way of life. That you can go to the central market, the Alajuela Central Market, chat with the locals, get a taste of the culture there, really good food. You can dive into Costa Rican history at a cultural museum, rolling hills, coffee farms, and the Poas volcano is nearby. You can hike through a magical cloud forest to get to the crater of the Volcano National Park, and they say it'll feel like you stepped into a whole other world. So, and then they've got the La Paz Waterfall Gardens, which they call a fairy tale come to life. Cool. I like it. That is Alajuela in Costa Rica. Number 9 on the list is Phnom Penh. How beautiful is that? I don't want to call it a church because I know it's not really a church. Temple, I guess you could call it. They say it's good for the budget-minded traveler because the hotel rooms in Phnom Penh are really reasonably priced. So they have temples and palaces, the remnants of French colonial history here. They do also have the killing fields. So a lot of people go, and there are tourist areas there where you can look at the history of the tragic past in Cambodia. And that's a lot different than the booming city that is there today. So a big contrast in Phnom Penh. Number 10 on the list, trending places to travel, Kuala Lumpur. In Malaysia, they say it's visually defined by these Petronas Twin Towers, 88 stories high, the tallest twin buildings in the world, and a vision of modern architecture. There's also the oldest Hindu temple in Malaysia, which is really colorful. They have shopping at the central market. You can haggle with the people there. They say that's kind of something people like to do. And that it's a happy place. It is a happy place for me. How about an azalea-framed volcano on Jeju Island? I don't know if I'm saying it right, but it sure is pretty. Jeju Island. There's a sisterhood here of deep divers and ancient stone statues on which to make wishes. It's a favorite with newlyweds and K-drama fans. I guess that it was featured on a show. 2 miles of golden beaches, winding coastal trails, Jeju Water World, which is the area's largest water park. So you could do a day of sightseeing. You can take in some of the seafood restaurants here. So that's what they do on Jeju Island. What about this? Fiji's largest island, Viti Levu. Here it is. I want to wander down that path in my Daisy Dukes. Bring it on. Viti Levu, Fiji's largest island, home to the capital Suva, offers some beautiful beaches. They have the Natadola Beach, which is supposed to be one of the best beaches in the world. Powdery sand, dramatic cliffs. So pretty nice. Viti Levu. Number 13 on the list is Chennai, also called Madras. It's a rich cultural scene. They call it Collywood. I don't know about that. They say it's an important center for classical dance. You can visit dance festivals and New Year's festivals here. Again, Chennai or Madras. So, yeah, pretty cool. 14 on the list is the town of Puebla. Here it is. Beautiful architecture. The town of Puebla is in the shadow of the active Popocatépetl volcano, which is a beautiful backdrop to one of Mexico's most magical towns, Pueblos Mágicos. Colorful, tiled buildings. The birthplace, they say, of mole poblano. Puebla, Mexico is at its best. It's beautiful. 15 on the list is in Indonesia. It's a place called Bandung. Look at that waterfall. So pretty. It's the third largest city in Indonesia, but close enough to Jakarta, and it offers some cooler weather. They have a lot of Dutch colonial architecture. They have a gorgeous botanic garden, a zoo, golf courses, and really good restaurants here as well. Pretty. 16th on the list is Panama City. It's about 1.3 million people living in Panama City. They have an up close view of the canal. There are some shanty towns alongside high rise condos, but they say this old city is full of churches and plazas and palaces. There's a national park that's beautiful, Soberania National Park, for hiking and birding. And it makes the list, 16 of the trending travel hotspots. Number 17 is Huaraz. Check that out. From the beach to the rocky, craggy, snowy mountains. This place dates back to before the Incan Empire. They call it a great destination for travelers looking to mix cultural education with relaxation. Archaeological sites are here, ancient stone monoliths at the Museo Regional de Ancash. You can go into the Duck Canyon. You can hike a mountain trail at Huascarón National Park. This again is Huaraz, Huaraz. Number 18 on the list is Nairobi. Yeah. It's the safari capital of Africa, is what it's known as. Nairobi is an energetic, modern city with wildlife and nightlife, music clubs, shops, markets that are bustling, restaurants that'll tempt your palate, museums. They've got a giraffe center, the Black Rhinos of Nairobi National Park. They say it's the city center is really safe to walk in, and there's a lot of taxis that make getting around here pretty good. Number 19 on the list in the Andes Mountains is La Paz. It's a city, they say, that touches the clouds, the de facto capital of Bolivia, sitting between 3,300 and 4,100 meters above sea level. They say it's the highest capital city in the world. There are 19th century churches, museums of artifacts from the pre-conquest era. They have a lot of overlooks with gorgeous views and colorful markets. One of them called the Witches Market in the center of the city that sells charms and potions for rituals. So that's kind of interesting. La Paz. Number 20 on the list of the trending travel hotspots is a place called Port Galib. Look at that. Look at the architecture there. Beautiful. Relaxation, adventure, luxury. The beach is one of the main draws with golden sands and blue waters. You could spend your whole day soaking up there. The world beneath the surface, they say, is just as stunning. A boat ride will take you to the Sataya Reef, where you can explore the coral reef and swim with dolphins, and then go for a night out with yachts and waterfronts and a whole Mediterranean vibe. Port Galib is number 20. Okay, we're at, there's 25 on the list, so we're pretty close to being done. The next one in Romania is called Brasov, and they say it's a mashup of the traditional charm and modern city life. Here's a picture of Brasov. Pretty nice. Double-decker buses can be ridden around the city to see everything. And then you can hop off and you can walk down the narrowest street in Europe called Strada Sforli. You can go on a day trip to see old churches. They've got the Liberty Brown Bear Sanctuary. They've got the Bran Castle, otherwise known as Dracula's Castle. So this is Brasov in Romania. Number 22 on the list, where they say you will find it all, including amazing beaches, is Manta. Culture, beaches, history, some of the best seafood in your life, they say. A lot of volleyball games on the beach here, sun soaking, sunsets that they say are next level. Then you go and get some ceviche, which is an art form in this city. It's kind of a fish soup ceviche. At a beachside kiosk, they sell these things. Local culture, you can pick and grill your own fish. You get a crash course in Ecuadorian history. So, turquoise waters, photo-worthy views from the cliffs. That's just La Freilis Beach, about an hour from the city of Manta, but they say it's worth the trip if you're going there. So again, Manta in Ecuador. Number 23 on the list is Casablanca. It's a large modern city, but there's still a lot of wonderful things to do here, especially in the old city area. And they have a very Western feeling in Morocco. There's a mosque to be visited, and some beautiful architecture in Casablanca. Number 24 on the list, a metropolitan joy, they call it. It's Santiago, Chile. They've got funky cafes and dance clubs, a forest park art collection, from pre-Columbian to contemporary, architecture all over the place here, from the 16th century San Francisco church to mirrored office towers. You've got malls to shop in, you've got meals to eat here. Santiago, Chile. The last trending place for travel from TripAdvisor is Taipei. So bustling and busy and well lit. They say you can eat very well and very cheaply in Taipei. That the restaurants might not look fancy, but boy, they say is the food good. And there's a huge variety of restaurants here as well. They have Indian food, Japanese food, Chinese food, Italian food, everything. And a lot of vendor street snacks. So Taipei is number 25. And that rounds us out for TripAdvisor's most trending travel spots of this year. I hope you enjoyed a little peek in to some of these places. What's your favorite? Of all the places on the list, what's the one that spoke to you the most? I'm going with this one. This is the Palawan Island. That one really got to me, of course, right? What about you? What are you thinking? I don't know. Yeah, beautiful photos. Anything speak to you? You're welcome, Mindy. Thank you for traveling along with me. It's more fun with you guys along for the ride. Maybe nothing spoke to you guys. I don't know. Louis says maybe Taipei? I don't know. Oh, the island one looks gorgeous. Costa Rica, too, says Heather. Yeah, Costa Rica one looked really pretty. Was that Jeju Island? Which one was Costa Rica? Gosh, I forget now. Here's Jeju Island. It's pretty nice. Yeah, it all looks pretty good to me. VT Levu also looked pretty nice. But Pattaya looked pretty good too. I don't know. I'm sticking with Palawan. I'm sticking with it. Oh, Louis just got back from Tokyo and Taipei. I hope you had a really good time. And I'm very, very jealous. Ren says Fiji is beautiful and the people there are wonderful. I love to hear that. Liz says, yeah, all of them. John has been to Costa Rica and would love to go again. I haven't, and I would love to. Oh, Liz says Jeju Island is in Korea. Thank you. Appreciate that. Yeah, one of the things about that story is they put all the places and they didn't say like where in the world they're located. So I was typing it in and trying to look them all up before the show. All right, well, that brings us to the end of today's After Party Live. Tomorrow is Trivia Thursday. And I hope you'll join me for that. It's going to be really fun. Nikki and I have a great show planned for you at 10 a.m. here on YouTube. At 11, it's the Mark Thompson Show. And tomorrow is David Katz Day, which is always a really, really good time. He's so knowledgeable and fun. So, and then we'll be right back here for Trivia Thursday. Until we meet again, I hope you have a really, really great afternoon. Thank you for clicking the like button. The PayPal information at the bottom of the show description. And I so appreciate everyone who contributes. This weekend, I'll update the closing video. So if you don't see your name on here, it'll be fixed by Monday. And a huge thank you. Go out there and make it a great day. And I will see you tomorrow here on the After Party. Bye, everybody.
The After Party Live would like to thank the following contributors and viewers like you.
Thanks for the love, Lisa.